Chapter 34. Doug sat hunched over his desk, the glow of his monitor casting strange shadows across his cluttered apartment. The ancient hyperlink, formatted in that stark, DOS-based interface, blinked back at him like an unblinking eye. If you found this, you're asking the wrong question. He ran a hand through his hair. Yeah, well, screw you too, he muttered at the screen. His fingers hovered over the keyboard. The wrong question? What the hell did that mean? Fine. He'd play along. Who is Ephraim? The screen flickered. A new line appeared. You already know. Doug exhaled sharply. Great. Love a good riddle. What is Pillar 83? A point of interest. A beacon. A warning. He frowned. That was vaguely more helpful. Maybe. Where is Pillar 83? Everywhere. Nowhere. Under the waves. Doug rubbed his temples. You are really not making this easy. What is D4-18R? The gatekeeper, the spy, the shadow in the machine. Doug groaned. Oh, fantastic. Cryptic and ominous. He decided to go broader. What happened to the Bahamas anomaly? The cursor blinked. Then, finally, the text began to crawl across the screen. They tried to bury it. That sent a chill through him. His fingers hesitated over the keyboard before he typed again. Who tried to bury it? The same ones who have done it 5 times before. Doug's stomach twisted. 5 times? 5 attempts to erase something? His mind flashed back to Greaves, to the books in Miranda's store, to everything they had discussed. Could it be? How many times has humanity been reset? The screen remained dark for a long moment, the cursor blinking like a heartbeat. Then the words appeared, stark and final. Too many. Doug stared at the monitor, the weight of that answer pressing down on him. He swallowed and reached for his coffee, his hand trembling slightly. And then, just as he was about to type again, the screen flickered. The DOS-style interface dissolved, replaced by something new. A new page, formatted exactly the same way. But this time, there was only a single blinking cursor and a prompt, Enter access code. Doug's breath caught in his throat. Access code? What the hell? Then, below the prompt, a single message scrolled into view. Welcome back, Ephraim. Doug Weapons stared at his screen, fingers poised over the keyboard as the blinking DOS-style cursor taunted him. He exhaled sharply and typed with finality. I am not Ephraim. Who is Ephraim? The response was immediate. Everything. Doug rolled his eyes. Oh, great. Another cryptic non-answer. Love that for me. He rubbed his temples and considered his next approach. If whoever, or whatever, had left this ancient relic of a web page running had gone to this much trouble, then surely it wasn't just some elaborate joke. There was meaning here, a logic. He just had to crack it. He tried again. What is Ephraim? The screen blinked, and another line of text appeared. A question malformed by perception. Doug threw his hands up. Awesome. Just once I'd like a straight answer. Is that so much to ask? He leaned back in his chair, tapping his fingers on his desk. Maybe he needed to change his approach. He typed, What is the nature of reality? A long pause. Then, thermodynamics, ether, quantum fields, Holy Spirit, chi, karma, the Force, all semantics describing the same truth. Doug let out a low whistle. So, you're telling me the Jedi were onto something? No response. Doug smirked, then drummed his fingers on the desk. If everything was connected, then what was the missing piece? He tried a different angle. If you found this, you're asking the wrong question. What is the right question? For the first time, the screen glitched, a brief flicker, and then new text appeared. You already know. Doug shivered. Okay, that's unsettling. Before he could type anything else, his phone buzzed. A text from Miranda. Get to the bookstore. Now. Greaves is here. He wants to meet you. Doug froze. His heart pounded. Greaves. Miranda had mentioned him in passing, But why now? Why did he suddenly want to see him? Doug's eyes flicked back to the screen. The blinking cursor mocked him. He hesitated, torn between diving deeper into this bizarre digital rabbit hole or finally getting some real answers. He clenched his jaw. Screw it! He grabbed his jacket and his keys and bolted out the door. Chapter 35. Doug stepped through the door of the bookstore, his mind still half tethered to the cryptic depths of that ancient DOS-based website. The bell above the door chimed, but he barely heard it. Miranda was there, behind the counter, but before he could say anything, before he could even acknowledge the shared tension of last night, his eyes locked onto Dr. Greaves. The professor sat at a small table stacked high with old tomes, regarding him not with skepticism, but with the solemn weight of someone who had long awaited this moment. Greaves exhaled, then asked, "Do you know the nature of reality?" Doug, still wired from his deep dive, distracted by the question that had burned in his mind all night, answered without thinking, word for word, exactly as it had been phrased on the hidden site. As soon as the words left his mouth, Greaves stiffened. A long silence stretched between them. "Well?" Greaves finally muttered, his voice barely above a whisper. "It can't be undone, unless it already has been. And I guess I hesitated too long." He removed his glasses, rubbing his temples, then straightened up with a resigned nod. "All right, then. We move forward. But before I say anything else, Doug, how much do you truly want to know?" Doug hesitated, feeling the weight of the moment. Miranda, standing just behind him, finally spoke. "This isn't a game, Doug. If you go down this road, you don't get to unknow it. You don't get to pretend it was all just a rabbit hole you stumbled into." Doug swallowed. His heart pounded. "I need to know." Greaves nodded again, more to himself than anyone else. "Then let's begin. But not with what you expect. Not with history, not with artifacts, not even with Ephraim. Let's start with the real question. Why do you think you're here?" Doug frowned. "Because I found the book. Because I asked too many questions." Greaves smirked. "No, you've been asking the wrong questions. But now, whether you realize it or not, you've started asking the right one. And that changes everything." He leaned forward, lowering his voice. "Reality isn't just a fixed construct, it's layered, malleable. The ancients knew this, and they encoded it into myth, religion, physics, different languages for the same truth. Thermodynamics, ether, quantum fields, chi, karma, the Holy Spirit, and yes, Doug, the Force." He chuckled, though there was no humor in it. "It's all the same thing. The question isn't what it is. The question is, who controls it?" Doug's stomach dropped. "And you think Ephraim does?" Greaves looked at him, his eyes dark and serious. "Ephraim isn't just a person, Doug. He's an inevitability. And he's been waiting for someone like you." Chapter 36. Doug barely had time to settle into the chair across from Greaves before the professor leaned forward, steepling his fingers, his gaze heavy with unspoken weight. "Tell me, Doug," Greaves began, his voice even, deliberate, "do you believe in infinity?" Doug blinked. Yeah. I mean, theoretically. It's a mathematical concept, right? Never-ending numbers and all that." "Mathematics is but one crude attempt to describe it," Greaves replied. "Infinity isn't just a number, it's not just an abstraction. It is the underpinning of everything, every possibility, every thought, every path taken or untaken. If infinity exists, then it must be tangible. If it is tangible, it must be obtainable." Doug frowned. "Obtainable? You're saying, what, someone could wield infinity? Harness it?" Greaves let the question hang in the air. What is possibility? What is imagination? At their core, they are nothing but the precursor to creation. When you imagine something vividly enough, does it not feel real? When a dream shakes you to your core, does it not leave a mark on your waking self? He tapped the table. We think reality is a fixed point. It is not. It is a spectrum. Doug exhaled sharply, rubbing his temples. Okay, you're talking in riddles now. What does this have to do with the many worlds theory, Doug? Surely you've heard of it. Every decision spawns new timelines. Every path untaken is taken elsewhere. And what if I told you that infinity allows not just for those possibilities to exist, but for one to step between them? Doug leaned forward, his heart pounding. Like Ephraim. Greaves exhaled through his nose, the closest thing to a sigh of relief. Yes, like Ephraim. Doug's mind was racing. So what? He can just manifest anything? Shift into different timelines? Greaves gave him a look of such profound understanding that it made Doug shiver. Not just him, Doug. Anyone. Everyone. You. The only difference is awareness. Doug swallowed. His thoughts were colliding with each other like a car crash in slow motion. Then why doesn't everyone do it? Why aren't people bending reality every second of the day? Greaves smiled faintly. Because they do not believe they can. Because they are shackled by their own perception of what is possible. They have forgotten what they are. Doug felt a sudden chill settle in his chest. And the Silent Order? They know this too? Greaves sat back, folding his hands. They know enough. Enough to be terrified. Enough to act. Doug clenched his fists. And what about you? Where do you stand in all of this? Greaves's eyes gleamed. I am but a humble scholar, Doug, but I have waited a long time for someone like you. Doug's phone buzzed in his pocket. He barely registered it, too transfixed by the abyss Greaves had just opened before him. He was standing at the edge of something vast, something unfathomable, and for the first time in his life, he wasn't sure if he wanted to take the next step, or if he even had a choice.